Hello and welcome to Republic IS. I am Akash Bhattacharya. I'm going to be your faculty for social issues. And in the lectures which I'm going to take with you, I'm going to share my experience and exposure with you with this dynamic subject. If you understand this dynamic subject, it will help you to score very good marks in your mains exam. So let us first understand the importance of this subject. Gradually, we'll see the syllabus and then we'll explore the previous year question that has already been asked by UPSC. And accordingly, I will also tell you that how we are going to, how I am going to deliver these lectures so that you understand the static part of it, you understand the dynamic part of it also. Okay. Now, let us understand the importance part. So if you understand, if you see the year-wise weightage, that is there in your GS paper 1. So here we will be able to figure it out. Just a minute. So this particular slide is going to show you 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 and 2024. So you understand that in the year 2024, almost 8 questions have come from Indian society. Then in the year 2023, almost 6 questions have come. In year 2022 also somewhere 6 questions are come. These numbers are actually not absolute. These numbers are little bit subjective. So because we will understand, because now if there is something that is there in your ethics syllabus, that can also become part of your society. If there is something that is there in your history, that can also become part of your society question also. So that dynamics we will understand. Next, if we understand what is the weightage of it in the mains, so if we talked about society, so almost in the year 2024, almost 100 marks have been asked over here. So you cannot ignore this particular subject. And the interesting part over here is that if you are able to, prepare the content of this particular module, it is also going to help you in your essay. It is also going to help you in your ethics paper. It is also going to help you in your polity. Polity mein you can consider these things as an examples, you can write it. Plus, if you have sociology optional, it is also going to give you a lot of perspective about it, lot of examples related to your questions. Okay. Now, next we will talk about social justice. So social justice comes in your GS paper 2. Now, if we again understand that almost on an average 3 to 4 questions will come every year from this particular module. Now, if we try to understand that in the year 2024, almost 2 questions have been asked, then almost 3 questions have been asked in the year 2023. In 2022, again 3 questions. In 2021, again 4 questions have been asked. So it means that if we prepare this, it is going to help us score a good marks over here. Now, if we talked about the marks weightage, so you understand that from social justice in the year 2024, almost 25 marks of questions have come into picture. It means almost 2 questions have already come. So this is going to give you an idea that how though these modules seems, not very good, not much of marks will be asked over here, but if you prepare it, it is going to give you an edge over it. Now, let us look at the syllabus of Indian society. And now let us look about the syllabus of the social justice. So if we understand it, so the first thing that is there is the salient features of Indian society. Salient features of Indian society we will talk about what are the various diversity that we have in our country, be it related to the religion, be it related to the language, be it related to the geography. We will try to consider all these things. Then we will see, and so basically we will try to club these unit number 1 and unit number 2. Next is role of women and women's organization. So here we will see the aspects related to the women. In this particular thing, we will also try to understand that how globalization as a concept is going to influence the women. What was the position of women in the history? As things have changed now, what are the legal initiatives, what are the programs and schemes that government has come out with. Next, we will try to see population. So population becomes an important part of it. when we talked about population, so you understand human skill development, education, health. So population is going to influence the policy making in a positive way also, in a negative way also. We will try to understand it. Then important concept is globalization, that we will understand what do you mean by globalization. Then after that, we will see what is communalism. So communalism means you're trying to make a community out of the whole population. And now this particular ideology can have negative influences also. Then we will talk about secularism. This particular thing you must have covered in your polity classes. Still, we will try to understand it from the social perspective. Then we will try to understand the caste system. What do you mean by caste system? Then urbanization, because as you will see, the growth of why this growth of tier 2 cities or tier 3 cities is happening. What is the logic behind it? Why urbanization, whether it is a positive step or whether it is a negative step. Then we will see what do you mean by regionalism, and we will also see what do you mean by poverty. So poverty, again, though it is a very simple concept, but if you prepare this, you can club it with lot of other main topics also. So these are the things that we will discuss. Now, what you need to understand is that the commission, UPSC, is not going to ask you questions in a very isolated manner. It means that basically, and this is where this particular module becomes very, very dynamic in approach. Why? Because now the questions can be like this. They will try to combine women with caste system. They may try to combine women with urbanization. They may try to, globalization. So what is the negative impact of globalization on regionalism? That can also happen. What is the negative impact of urbanization? What is the negative impact of what is the negative impact on urbanization because of globalization? So this is how these things becomes very, very dynamic in nature, because now it's just not like that, they will ask you what is secularism. Now you tell me, the negative aspect of it or the positive aspect of it. No, they're not going to ask you like this. Rather, they are going to club this topic. So the idea over here is, so what our idea will be that we will first prepare this block by block. So we will, let's say, we'll understand what is globalization. We'll understand what is communalism. We'll understand what is secularism. So after we are done with these topics, then we will be moving on to the application part of it, whereby we will take one by one previous year question. We'll discuss it holistically, and we'll try to understand that how globalization is influencing caste system, or how globalization is influencing urbanization, or how globalization is regionalism. So my idea over here is that first we will prepare these topics in a very holistic or a very comprehensive manner. After that, we will look forward to the application part of it. Similarly, when we talked about social justice, so here we will talk about what is the basic of social justice, because since I hope you have covered polity, and you know that in our directive principles of state policy, we have a philosophy to do welfare, first thing. Then we will see scheduled caste over here. So what is scheduled caste? What is scheduled tribe? What is OBC? Why OBC reservation was being given? What is EWS? That we will go through it. Then we will prepare something related to the children. We will talk about child labor, child exploitation. All these things will be covered over here. Then we will also talk about the other vulnerable sections. So do we have other vulnerable sections? We will have people with disability, transgenders can come into picture, elderly population will come into picture. All these things we will cover it. Then education again. So education and health, again, we will try to understand what is the data over here, what is the program and schemes that the government is running, and next important thing is what can be done. So these 2-3 things becomes very, very important for us, not only for education. This we will doing it for health also. Now you understand that from the basic syllabus, now they may ask you, what is the impact of what is the impact on education because of urbanization? What is the impact on healthcare system because of urbanization? So what is the impact of globalization on education and health? So what I'm trying to tell you is that these things will be interrelated and interdependent. So for this particular module, you need to have a very broad mindset, and you should be in a position to, connect one particular topic with another particular topic. Your work will be done, because this thing will take time, but I will try my level best to help you, understand these intricacies so that you are able to write better answers. Okay. Now, if you understand, so this is again so as we have covered these particular things, these topics that we have discussed over here. Now, if you try to understand the marks over here, hai na? So every year, if you understand, so in the year 2023, almost 50 marks have been asked from features of Indian society. Women issues में almost 10 marks. Globalization में no question have been asked, but if you try to see in the last few years, every year there has been some of the other question on globalization, है ना? Some of the other question on globalization. Then you will see population and poverty. So I told you, na, so poverty is something which you can combine with globalization also, which you can combine with regionalism also, which you can combine with education also, which you can combine with health also, which you can combine with urbanization also. So poverty can be clubbed with any other main topic. Then, so poverty, maybe you will see that almost 30 questions have been asked over here. And you see urbanization. So again, with urbanization, it's the same. So the idea over here is, if they have not asked in 2023, that does not mean it will not come. So our idea is that we have to prepare each and everything that is there in the syllabus, because you never know in which year things will get repeated. Okay. Acha, how to use this particular subject? So our idea will be that first thing that we have to do over here is, so the notes that I'm going to deliver. Okay. Notes may your PPTs will come into picture. So my idea of teaching is, so I will make you write something, I will dictate you something, and then I will give you these PPTs also. So you can take these printouts from the PPTs. So important is that every word that is there in your notes, it has to be in your brain. First important thing. Second is, once we are done with this, second part over here is that we will cover previous year questions. Now, to what extent we have to cover previous year question? The first objective will be to cover last 5 years. After we are done with this, then we can move on to the next 5 years. So almost 10 years of previous year questions, we are supposed to do it. So the idea over here is, since you have a hell lot of content on internet, today's generation, ChatGPT can also generate a hell lot of content, but human mind has a limitation. So now I don't want you to create that FOMO over it. So what you have to do is, these things have to be prepared in a very holistic manner. And second here is, if you write previous year questions with your own hands, 80% of the things will be done. Rest 20% of the current affairs, you can, take some data out, some good points, you can take it out and, put out your notes. Rest 20% will also be covered from your current affairs. Okay. Next important thing is, get clarity and try to attempt the previous year question. I had already told you. Then very important part over here is index. That is why the whole idea of sharing you these topics are, because now you understand it, what is the importance of indexes. While you are scrolling something, while you are reading some other article on, let's say your mobile phone or newspaper, you came out with a very good idea, very good suggestion, very good point, very good data point. You can just come to your notes and write that particular thing. Okay, that next time when I'm going to write that answer, this point needs to be included in my answer. And next, this I don't say it with my, very loud, but majority. So I have taught at all India level, from north to south of this country and northeast to the west of this country. So wherever I have been there, so I have a positive review about my module. So the idea will be that if you are consistent, if you are serious about it, you will get the benefit of the experience and exposure that I have gained over the years. Okay. Now, important part of it is your previous year question. Important part over here is previous year question, because day in and day out, you will see that toppers coming and telling you, previous year questions have to be done, previous year questions have to be done, previous year questions have to be done. And therefore, even if it is, it's bulky, we will still, I just want you to make you understand the language of the previous year question that has been asked in the UPSC, because it is important for us. And why it is important for us? Because we should be, because there are a lot of contents available in the market. Again, as I told you, like ChatGPT generated content. But now we need to limit the resources, and how we are going to limit the sources is that whether my content are being used to solve the previous year questions or not. Is it okay? So if that is being done, and if you have written these answers with your own hands, and 10 times, why I'm saying 10 times or 12 times or Why? Because now over a period of time, when you will write, lot of other points, lot of other examples will also come to you, which is going to enhance your understanding about this particular question. So for the first time when you are writing this particular thing, so you may lack points. Next time when you write it, so you may overwrite. Third time, sir, I could have written this also, that also. By the fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, things will started to hit, and you will try to write it in the word limit. Now, when I say word limit, why it is important? Because that also needs to be talked about it. Now, even if I am someone who has done MPhil, even if I am someone who has done PhD, even if I am someone who has done masters, even if I am someone who is a bachelor, or even if I'm someone who is an engineer or a CA or a medical doctor, what you need to understand is that I just need to write in 150 words. That's it, or 250 words. So this thing you need to be, so even if I have read hell lot of books on society and social justice, that thing is not going to work. Why? Because at the end of the day, I have to write the exam in 150 words. When I say 150 words, it means in UPSC sheet, you have to write 2 sheets. And for 350, you need to write 3 sheets. So if you are done with this, your majority of the things will already be done over here. That's it. So this idea, because I want to tell you about these 150 and 250 words, because otherwise you always have a FOMO about, sir, how to go about the answer writing. So answer writing will take time. So the idea over here is, let's say, how I am going to help you is, let's say we will cover globalization. So we'll cover the different aspects of it. We will cover the different dimensions of globalization. After that, there will be 1 or 2 questions on globalization. So your content will also get consolidated in the form of Q&A, question and answer. And after we are done with this for every topic, what we will do is we will try to solve the previous year questions. So from the content that we have consolidated in the form of question and answer, that is going to be used while we will try to solve the previous year question. That is the whole idea. And if you're done with this, I can guarantee you that, any question that comes in your UPSC civil services, you will be able to write it. There will be no problem, because what you need to write is in 150 and 250 words. Okay. Now you need to understand. Let us understand word by word what are the previous year question that has been asked. Now you see. Now, in the context of diversity of India, can it be said that the regions form cultural units rather than the states? Now, do you understand when you are asking this, what is state and all, you have covered in polity. This is what I was trying to tell you, that this particular subject is very, very dynamic. So it is not being taught in isolation. Rather, a lot of other concepts will also come into picture. Now you already know that we have a lot of diversity, because in different aspects, in the different parts of India, you have a different cultural units also. So now the question they're asking is that in the context of the diversity of India, can it be said that the region that is there, it is forming the cultural unit rather than the state? So now whether you can say yes to it, whether you can say no to it. Now whatever you are going to say, you have to give certain examples. Okay. Whenever there is some questions like, what do you think? So now in these kind of questions, you always have to take the two-way argument, the positive also, the negative also. We will try to see it. So this is one. This is the first question. Next, what are the 2 major legal initiatives by the state since independence addressing the discrimination against the scheduled tribe? When I say legal, it means what are the laws that is there which is going to address the discrimination or the atrocities that is being faced by the scheduled tribe. So again, this is something which is there in your polity, but it has been asked in your GS paper 1. Why it has been asked in your GS paper 1? Because in the diversity part we will cover what is your scheduled tribe. Okay, now, or it is there in your syllabus of society that what is your scheduled tribe. Similarly, it is also there in your social justice, as I had told you, scheduled tribes. So this is how you need to first understand the intricacies that is there in the syllabus. Next, the women's question arose in modern India as a part of the 19th century social reform movement. A social reform movement you covered in where? You covered in history, social reform movements and all. But now they have combined history and they have just put women. So now they have clubbed history and women over here. Distinguish between religiousness or religiosity and communalism, giving one example how the former has got transformed into the latter in the independent India. That how this so here you have Article 25. So Article 25 is right to religion. Now, if you have a lot of people exercising right to religion, you're trying to form a community out of it, that is giving birth to this idea of communalism. So how you need to distinguish it? So again, do you understand? You need to have a little bit knowledge of polity also. You need to have a little bit knowledge of economics also. You need to have a knowledge of science and tech also. If you understand the question number 3, the spirit of tolerance and love is not only an interesting feature of the Indian society. Now they have put Indian society. So this keyword is, GS paper 1 from very early times, but it is also playing an important part in the present. But spirit of tolerance and love, this is something that is being covered in your ethics lecture, the values and all. So do you understand that ethics is also trying to come in the form of GS paper 1 question? Next, caste system. So these are the questions. So from this, what we have analyzed is diversity of India needs to be prepared, scheduled tribes needs to be prepared, women's needs to be prepared in a very holistic manner, and communalism also needs to be prepared. Now, when we will look for 2017, 2018, we will try to see that some of these things will keep on repeating in the future also. That is why the idea is, rather than directly going to the 2024 mains ka question, I have tried to come out I have tried to start with 2017 so that you understand the whole transition also. Next, you will see caste system. So caste system they have asked you, so we will cover it. What do you mean by caste system? So caste system is assuming new identities and associational forms, and the caste system cannot be eradicated in India. Now you can say no, you can say yes. Now both these arguments needs to be written by you in the form of answer. Next, despite the implementation of various programs for eradication of poverty by the government, poverty is still existing. So there is a question on poverty. So poverty needs to be prepared. Next, how is the Indian concept of secularism different from the Western model of secularism? Secularism again, so this is something you must have covered in Article 25, but we will cover over here also. Then again, women has come into picture. So from 2017, if I am writing mains in 2018, I need to prepare women in a very holistic manner. The women's movement in India has not addressed the issues of women of the lower strata. So now I substantive your view. So now you can say yes to it, that yes, they were able to solve it. Now you can also say no, that they have not been able to solve it. So both the sides of the argument needs to be put up over here. Then question on globalization. That globalization is generally said to promote cultural homogenization, but due to this, cultural specificities appear to be strengthened in the Indian society. So for this particular thing, we need to understand what is globalization. So basically they are asking you that globalization as an idea, it is also influencing the local culture. Yes, it is influencing the local culture, but is it in the positive way or in the negative way? Okay, that we will explore when we will take the discussion on globalization. Next is communalism arises either due to power struggle or relative deprivation. So the idea of communalism, I told you that, if everyone starts to exercise Article 25, right to religion, now what is going to happen over here is there will be a formation of the community. And if that particular community becomes little bit deprived, now they will go against the state also. So now they are asking you to argue about it by giving suitable illustration. That also we will try to understand. Next, again you see, so for the last 3 years, there has always been a question on the women, becomes important. Next, what are the challenges to our cultural practices in the name of secularism? Okay, again a question on secularism. In the year this also, they have asked a question on secularism. In 2019 also, they have asked a question on secularism. Do we have cultural pockets of small India all over the nation? Now again, the same question, but they have just tried to change the nature of it. The theme remains same. Which theme? This particular thing. Which one? This, in the context of diversity of India, can it be said that the regions from cultural units? Now again, they have asked you the same thing. Do we have cultural pockets or cultural units? So do you understand how much important it is that we have to solve the previous year question? Acha. What are the continued challenges for women? So 2017 mein they asked you, 2018 mein they asked you, 2019 mein you have 2 questions on women. Okay, are we losing our local identity for the global identity? This global identity we are getting because of globalization. This particular thing we are getting because of globalization, and just because we are getting this global identity, we are getting because of globalization. So it is important for us to know what is globalization, how it is impacting our local culture and how it is impacting our let's say geography, the region, the education, the health, everything that needs to be discussed. Next, so I just hope you have been able to understand the questions of it. Now the interesting part over here is the one thing I had already told you, that you need to prepare 150 or 250 words. Okay, now how so answer writing always has to be in a very thematic manner. It always has to be in a very thematic manner. What do you mean by when I say thematic matter? Thematic matter means that now when I'm going to write a question, now I will not start with question number 1 of 2017. No, first I will write a question on women. Imagine that, let me write this particular thing, the 4th question. Once I will try to develop a content around question number 4, I should be in a position to utilize the content in question number 4 of the 2018. Now when I have written question number 1 on women, question number 2 also on women, now using the content of question number 1 and 2, am I in a position to write something related to question number, again, this particular question and this particular question? So that thing is going to help me to write in a thematic manner. So now you understand that by 2019, I'm done 4 questions on women. Now if I'm writing a question, if I'm writing a 5th question on women, so can I utilize all the content of 1, 2, 3, 4 in the question number 5? Yes, I have to do it. So if I'm able to do it, my work is done. Okay, acha. This is, now you see 2020, has caste, again there's a question on caste. Has caste lost its relevance in understanding the multicultural Indian society? Elaborate. Now when they are asking you such kind of things, now there is a question mark on it, that what do you think? Now you may say that yes, caste has lost its relevance, but when you say yes, you have to give examples 1, 2, 3, 4, that our society is moving towards meritorious. Now things are based on meritorious, but then you can also say no to it. So my idea of telling you this, that in this you have to write yes, you have to give examples 1, 2, 3, 4, then you also need to write no, and again you need to give example. This is going to give, this is going to give you that completeness in your dimension, that yes, you were able to include both the dimensions in your answers. Okay, otherwise majority of the people will say yes, they will, the answer will be little bit incomplete. Then COVID-19 pandemic accelerated class inequalities and poverty. So poverty, again, so as I told you, that poverty will come into picture. Poverty will be clubbed with the main topic. Acha. Then, do you agree that regionalism in India appears to be the consequence of rising cultural asset? So do you understand that how much question they are asking on culture? So first they try to link it with the diversity, and now they are trying to club it with the regionalism that is there. Okay, this is what you need to understand. Next, you see, are diversity and pluralism in India are threat due to globalization? So again, you see, this diversity we have talked about, this pluralism is nothing but your multiculturalism. This multiculturalism means that in a society you have multiple cultures that exist. So if I'm traveling from north to south, from north you have Jammu and Kashmir, to the south you have Kerala. So we will see that as the geography will change, the culture will also change. When the culture will change, you will have a different traditions also over there. So now it is saying that, is it a threat due to the globalization? Because globalization will try to interconnect the world and try to make the world a one unifying village. So now again they are asking you, customs and traditions suppress reason, leading to obscurantism. Obscurantism means something that is difficult to understand. Because now what is the idea of it over here is that, that when we talked about customs and traditions, now you have a lot of customs and traditions. Now you will see that people are following it just because it has been followed through generations. Now, a lot of the times you may not knowing the reason behind it, that what is the, what is the logic of this particular thing. Next is, how have digital initiatives in India contributed to the functioning of the education system? So this is something that we have seen in your social justice. But again, they are asking you in GS paper 1, because now you have something called, so you should be able to understand that what are the digital initiatives in India, that is with respect to the education system. And when you know that this particular question has come, so you should also be in a position to understand that what are the digital initiatives with respect to the health system in India. Is it okay? So this is how it is going to give you an edge over other people, because now using the previous year question, you're also trying to predict what kind of questions can come. Next, examine. So you see scheduled tasks they have asked. Now they are asking you on tribal knowledge. So important tribal. So in the year 2020, there were a lot of tribal development. That is why the questions, you can see it in the form of previous year questions. What is examining the uniqueness of the tribal knowledge system? And so they are asking you they are asking you about the tribal knowledge system that is there. Now, when you will explore this particular tribal knowledge, now you will also need to understand or also need to know about what is their culture and how, because of globalization, is their culture is being diminished or not. That thing also needs to be explored. Next, examine the role of gig economy. What do you mean by gig economy? This you have covered in your economy, because now gig economy, you just need to understand like things like Zomato, things like Swiggy. So basically the idea over here is gig economy, you do not have a permanent employment structure. You will be hired based on the work. If there is a demand of work, you will be hired. And if there is no demand of work, you will be fired. So here the firing is done in a very informal manner, as in that the company will not have an obligation to pay you a regular salary. Here the company will try to share the revenue with you if you are trying to help the company to generate a revenue out of it. So Zomato wala, if it is delivering it, so whatever the billing amount, a certain percentage of it will be go to the Zomato driver or the Ola driver. So these companies, they say that these are their partners, and these are not their employees. And with partners, you do not give them salary, you share the revenue with them. Okay. Now, what are the main socio-economic implications arising out of the development of the IT industries in the major cities of India? This becomes important because this is something which is very, very economic in nature. So do you understand that today, if I decide to open a factory in the Gujarat or in Delhi or some other parts of the country, it can have socio-economic implication, because now the first thing I need is a land. Now people may not be very much keen to give me their land. But again, if I need to understand it from the broader perspective, that if I set up a plant over there, a lot of jobs can be created over there. So what is the socio-economic implication? Is it a positive or a negative thing? That is being asked over here. Discuss the main objective of population education, because on one hand, population is rising, and population rise, one of the factor can be because of poverty also, because the poor mindset can be related to like this, that more number of children will have more number of hands, and more number of hands will be utilized in a labor, and as the more number of hands will be utilized in the labor, more money will come into picture. But on the other hand, the other dimension can be because of inflation. It is not that easy actually to come out with lot of babies, because the cost of education, the cost of living on one hand is increasing, so you may not be able to give or distribute your resources among the babies that you will have. So that thing needs to be there. So it is important that you understand about the population education, and accordingly you go for family planning. Next, this is an interesting question. What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency you actually cover in your science and tech. This you cover in your science and tech, but how it is being asked in your GS paper 1, this you need to understand. How does it affect the global society, and has it been affecting the Indian society also? That is this thing that they are asking you. How does it? So do you understand that just by adding this particular word called global society and this particular word called Indian society, this particular question came in your GS paper 1. Next. How does the Indian society maintain continuity in traditional social values? Value system, this is something that is being asked in ethics. So again, So they have combined Indian society with ethics also. But here we are talking about with respect to the societal values. But this is what that is why this particular module becomes very, very dynamic in nature. Next, you see, during the time of COVID, a lot of people started to have work from home. Now, explore and evaluate the impact of work from home on family relation. Now, on one hand, this particular work from home has empowered the woman, because now because of customs and traditions, when a lot of women are not going outside their home for work, or they are not allowed to go outside their work, now they will not be getting a regular salary out of it. That is true. But on the other hand, this particular thing is also giving rise to a lot of domestic violence also, because now if these two people are going to stay together for a very long time, and this happened during the time of COVID, lot of cases related to sexual harassment, domestic violence came in the newspapers. Why? Because again, because of the work from home thing. So it can have a positive influence that a woman will be able to give time to the child also, will give time to the household works also, give time to the husband also. But then there can be lot of friction also between these couples. That thing can also come into picture. So when they are asking you the impact of it, so you can say that it can have your positive impact also, and it can have your negative impact also. Now when you have written this, so can you relate this work from home with something that has come in women? You getting my point? So what I'm trying to tell you here is that woman has been asked. So one point related to work from home can be right in women. Next, how is the growth of tier 2 cities related to the rise of middle class with an emphasis on the culture of consumption? Because now, because of urbanization, so urbanized, talk about urbanization. So a lot of people will come to Delhi, a lot of people will come to Pune or Mumbai or Bangalore. Now, when people from different underdeveloped regions are coming to Delhi or these metropolitan cities, a different culture is being created. That is true. On the other hand, it is also trying to putting a pressure on the urban resources. Now, the question over here is, rather than coming from the rural to the urban part of it, what if there is a growth of the tier 2 cities around that rural part of India, so that the migration will be stopped, or migration will be limited to an extent. Obviously, you cannot stop it, but yes, the rate at which the people are migrating, you can just slow it down. And how we are going to slow it down? By creating tier 2 cities, because in tier 2 cities, the cost of living will be comparatively low in comparison to metropolitan cities. If I talked about Bangalore, so Bangalore, if you have to stay, you need to have a minimum salary of 1 lakh rupees, and otherwise you will struggle, because now if you're going to take a rent over there, minimum amount that they will charge you is 25,000. I mean, if you want to have a good room and all such stuff, 25,000. So you imagine that you're just paying a rent for 25,000, then you will have to have your food and your extra other things also. Somewhere it will try to come near 40, 50 something. So now the savings will be how much? The savings will be 50,000 only. Now imagine if there is something health emergency that has come into picture. All these things will be erased away from your pocket. So this is how if you're trying to stay in a tier 2 cities, the cost of living over here in comparison to the metropolitan cities is low. Cost of living is lower here. Next is, again, you will see there is a question on the tribal communities. Given the diversities among tribal communities in India, in which specific context should they be considered as a single category? Now, you already know that they have been given the status of scheduled tribe. Why? Because a lot of historical injustices have been done to them. Now, if you go by the government data, their representation in the government services or in the politics is quite low. That is why, in order to empower them, their position in the government services as well as in the mainstream politics, reservation is being given. So that thing will also try to explore. Analyze the salience of sect in the Indian society. So you have to talk about with respect to the caste, with respect to the region, and with respect to the religion. Interesting question. Are tolerance, assimilation, and pluralism key elements in the making of Indian form of secularism? So first question they asked you about how Indian secularism is different from the Western. Now they ask you the models of secularism, that what is tolerance. So tolerance is, are you able to tolerate me? Because even if I come from a different background, I may have a different value system. That different value system, because of that different value system, I may have a different thought process, different opinion, different belief system. So are you in a position to tolerate my views and respect my views or not? Second is assimilation. Assimilation may, you understand what do you mean by assimilation is. Now, for example, since I have been to Northeast, so Northeast you will have a lot of tribal groups. Now you understand that if that tribal group is coming to Delhi, so is he carrying his tribal culture also or not? Or if she or he is trying to come out, if she is trying to bring his tribal culture, people may laugh at it. Why people may laugh at it? Because this particular culture is different. So now this particular girl who has come from the tribal belt may try to adopt to a culture which is more acceptable. So now she may start to wear jeans, or she may start to wear t-shirts, which may not be common in the tribal belt, because now you're supposed to wear tribal dresses over there. So pluralism means what? Pluralism means that each one of you have a different identity. So we will not ask you to come and be a part of the majoritarian culture. You can be part of the whole with your own individual different identity. That is the difference between assimilation and pluralism. We will again explore it just to give an idea what is this. Illustrate the relationship between globalization and technology. Now, when a lot of trade is happening, so you need to understand one important thing is that in one part of the world, when the technology will be developed, and since the world is interconnected, so that technology could be seen in this also. In India-Pakistan war mein, when you will see that BrahMos missiles were used. Now, so a new technology was being built. Now, because of globalization, there is a demand of BrahMos missile in the world, in lot of world countries also. So now government of India will make a business out of it. So this is how globalization is going to influence the technology, and technology is also going to influence the globalization, because now it is going to give you a lot of business, a lot of trade is going to happen. Next, in 2023, you see, again you see, there is a question on women. So explain why suicide among young women is increasing in the Indian society. So now you have to figure out the reason. So again, you can talk about that, work from home culture has given birth to lot of sexual harassment cases leading to mental depression and all such things you can talk about. Then domestic violence has also contributed in that, because now when the woman is a homemaker, she is not contributing economy in the family. Because of that, her position has not improved. So these kind of points you can explore. Now, next, do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in the modern India? Now, marriage is something which was considered to be very, very pure. But now, if you try to understand in the metropolitan cities, marriage to an extent is considered as a burden also. Why? Because lot of expenses are involved. Plus tomorrow when you will have a child, you will have another responsibility of it also. And as the cost of living is high, so the demand for so here what I'm trying to tell you over here is, so though it was considered as a pure, but here now things will become rational with logic. So things will be very, very logical, because now you understand that since because of inflation, because of high cost of living, nobody will want to have a wife who want to choose life as a homemaker, because now because of increasing cost of living, you cannot have a family where only one person is earning. And if that is going to happen, you have to compromise on a lot of fronts. So marriage as a system is also changing, because now you are just not looking for a partner, you are also looking for a partner who can contribute in a very economical manner. Then you will see caste-based marriages are also happening. In some parts of India, caste-based marriage is a reality. But in some parts of India, you cannot even think of inter-caste marriage, or you forget about inter-religious marriages also. So this is how the marriage as a system is being changed in the modern India, because because of new ideas are coming into picture. So the idea over here is that the system will be influenced because of these ideologies. This is how you will see the concept of live-in relationship will come into picture, which was a rare phenomena during the time of your parents also. And today also, when I go to the, let's say, Odisha, so Odisha may, again, the society is little bit conservative. When I say conservative, you cannot think of having, You cannot think of, staying with a girl in a live-in relationship before marriage, because the society will not accept it. Now you come to Delhi or you come to Bangalore, these things becomes very, very easy when you do so, because now here you do not actually put pressure on the systems that has been followed since the past, because here people will be more open towards it. Next, child cuddling is now being replaced by mobile phones. That is true, because now you will see that if the kid is not eating food also, mama will say, Acha, you take the phone, the child will keep scrolling you brains and all. And this is how this particular child who is being used continuously, you will see that it is going to impact the brain also, brain in a way that he or she will be a victim of anxiety. She will be, so now when I say victim of anxiety, she will have panic attacks also, she can go through mental health problems also. So this is how, on one hand, on one hand, when the mobile phones is contributing in a positive manner also, it can have a negative influence on mental health also. Then next, why did women human development fail to keep pace with the economic development? Because when we talked about the so basically human development, you can talk about population. Now when you have rising population, you also need to understand that based on this, you can have your education level also has to be according as per the population. Similarly, your health also has to be as per your rising population. And that is why you will see that exams like NEET, exams like IIT, it has become much more competitive. But what you need to understand is that if you have, so government infrastructure also has a limitation, that it can accommodate only 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 20,000, maximum 15,000 students only. But why it is happening? Because now government do not have a resource whereby they can have a lot of IITs. And that is why you will see after 12, a lot of people, when they prepare for IITs and all, there is a hell lot of competition in it. In fact, in UPSC also, you have a hell lot of competition, because now the jobs are not that much in comparison to the rising population. And because of that, there is an unhealthy competition that has come into picture. Okay, because for economic development, you need resources. And when people do not have much, high paying jobs, they will not be taxed. So we can explore this particular thing over here also. Next, does urbanization lead to more segregation or marginalization of poor in the Indian metropolis? Because I told you, now people in urbanization, people migrate from the rural part of India to the urban part of it in search of good employment opportunities, in search of good standard of living. But now here, because of the high standard of living, are they able to justify it? Because is their salary is as per the inflation? That is no. So that thing needs to be taken care of. Why is caste identity in India both fluid and static? On one hand, it is a static thing which cannot be removed. On the other hand, the caste, the forms is being changing. So this similar type of question has been asked in the past also. Next is, discuss the impact of post-liberal economy on ethnic identity and communalism. So again, it can have your positive also. It can have your negative also. This thing we will explore. Is it okay? This thing we will explore once we are done with. So here what I'm trying to tell you over here is, if you understand that here communalism has been clubbed with your ethnic identity, and this ethnic identity is a part of your diversity. Because I told you, because of diversity, you have a lot of culture. So that culture you will have cultural identities also. So that we will figure it out. In the last 2024, what is the concept of demographic winter? That we will figure it out. What do you mean by demographic winter? Is the world moving towards such a situation? You need to elaborate it. We must have heard about demographic dividend. But what is demographic winter? We will explore it. Distinguish between gender equality, gender equity. This particular thing you must have covered in Article 14, equality before law and equal protection of law, whereby the concept of equality and equity must have been taught to you. Now they are asking you to distinguish between equality, equity, and women empowerment, and why it is important that you need to consider gender concerns into account while program. Because now as per the data that we have, in which we are saying that there is a gender gap that is there. When I say gender gap, so you may see a lot of men are participating in the economic activity, whereas a lot of women are not participating in the economic activity. And because of that, there is a gap. This particular gap is giving birth to a discrimination. So now government wants specifically to focus on the women so that this gap needs to be reduced, and women needs to be empowered with education or the models like work from home culture, whereby they will, so while sitting at the comfort of their home, they can make money out of it. Next, intercaste marriage between castes which have socioeconomic parity has increased to some extent, but this is less true of interreligious marriage. So on the one hand, people staying in the urban part of India, they may not be very much interested to go for intercaste marriage, because caste is something that you get by birth. Caste is something that you get by birth. So the idea over here is, though this intercaste marriage is increasing, but interreligious marriage is not. So this is how this statement we will, that why it is true. I mean, why it is not happening. What are the challenges that people are facing? Next. In dealing with the socio-economic issues of development, the kind of collaboration between government, NGOs and the private sector would be most productive. This is true. This is true. And this is where we will also discuss the concept of governance also. That why governance will come into picture. What is the idea of governance? So basically, initially we had government, and after that we had governance. Then we will talk about good governance or ethical governance. So why this thing has come into picture, why this evolution was there, that we will figure it out. Then what do you mean by regional disparity? How does it differ from diversity? How serious is the issue of regional disparity in India? Now I tell you, when I went to the northeast part of India, the cost of living in the northeast part of India is very, very high. And I was surprised why it is happening, especially if I talk about Shillong. Shillong mein, there is a very good fruit, which is orangish in nature, which is basically Malta. So I love that particular fruit a lot. So as the price of it, so they asked me that, sir, it is 250 rupees per kg. So do you understand, one reason of it was that the production was not happening over there. It was coming from a different state. When it was coming from a different state, you will have a labor, you will have a transportation, you will have taxes that will be put up in the cost of that, which will make these things expensive. So the idea over here is, if you go for a ride also, if I love to explore also. So when I went to Shillong, I went to Cherrapunji also. Now, when I took the cab and all, so they asked me that, sir, we will charge you 4,000 to 5,000 for a day. So now you understand, in Delhi mein, this particular amount mein, you can go for like say 3-4 days. Why? Because here the vehicles run on CNG. There you do not have a concept of CNG also, because infrastructural development has not been that good enough. Now you understand, if I'm taking the day-long ride over here, I may have to pay somewhere around 1,700, maximum 2,000. But over there, I have to pay almost 4,000-5,000, which is like almost the double part of it. Why? Because there the car is running on petrol, here it is running on CNG. So the idea of regional disparity is that when we say India, in the country, there are places which has not been developed yet, which has not been self-sustained, so they are relying on the other states, and when things are coming from different states, it is making things a little bit expensive for the people over there. So we will try to understand what is your regional disparity, and what are the reasons behind it, why there is a regional, why people are coming to Delhi. Because people are coming to Delhi because you have a lot of opportunities over there. You will never say people going from Delhi to Bihar or Delhi to some other parts of India, some other parts as in to the northeastern part of India for a job. No. Why? Because in those places you may not have proper job ability, you may not have proper opportunities over there, and in those regions where you do not have lot of jobs, people will rely on government jobs. That is why you will see Bihar and in regions of Bihar, people will be inclined towards preparing for a government job. Why government job? Because government job is going to give you a security, which a private job is not going to give you. And this question I asked a lot of the times in my classes, that you tell me, what if you get a salary of 2.5 lakhs per month, will you still be interested in a government job? They said, sir, yes, because government job has a craze, plus it is going to give you security. So this is how these things are. Next, despite comprehensive policies for equity and social justice, underprivileged sections are not yet getting the full benefits of affirmative action envisaged by the Constitution. So now, what are the challenges of it that we need to explore over here? That why it is not happening over here. Next is global. So now you see, First globalization was combined with technology. Now it has been clubbed with urban migration. That we will try to understand that what is the influence of it because of globalization. Globalization has increased urban migration by skilled young unmarried women from the various classes. How has this trend impacted upon their personal freedom and relationship with their family? So again, when you say how this trend impacted, so again you can figure it out. Yes, it has given some positive impact also, and it has given some negative impact also. This thing we will explore it next. So using this particular previous year question, you can write this particular thing in the form of a point when you are writing an answer on globalization. When you are writing on urbanization, you can again write this particular point. So this art, if you understand it, it will be very, very easy for you to understand it. Next, critically analyze the proposition that there is a high correlation between India's cultural diversities and socio-economic marginalities. Yes, that is true, because now you need to understand that on one hand, you will have cultural diversity in India, because now if you go to the northeast part of India, you will have a different culture, and that thing obviously is going to influence your socio-economic marginalities also. I told you. So you may have a different culture, but that particular region is underdeveloped. So obviously the culture thing and this particular marginality thing also will have a correlation. So we will explore in that particular question whether it has a positive impact or whether it has a negative impact of it. So these things we will try to understand. Okay, I just hope that in the first lecture of it, I try to give you the orientation, how we are going to proceed, what are the things that needs to be understood by you. Important part over here is, what I'm interested in telling you over here is that while you are doing so, first thing that has to be syllabus should be there in your table, so that you understand that every word that is there in the syllabus, it is being covered or not. Second here is, I will share the previous year questions with you. So before appearing for any test, have I solved the previous year questions? Because you understand that, even if I'm solving a lot of mock tests, and even if I'm not solved the previous year question, there is no point of it. Why? Because we have seen from 2017 to 2024, every year the theme is being repeated. You never know, when you are writing mains for 2025, some things will also come into picture. So it is important to solve all the previous year questions, write it with your own hands, and once you have built the content, now you can utilize that content in various dimensions as per the need and demand of the question. And the third important point over here is the notes that I'm going to deliver. As I had already told you, that the notes I will dictate, some things I will make you write, some things will be given in the form of a PPT, so that in a limited span of time, I am going to give you the best of the best content. My idea of giving you the content is very, very there on the internet. So my idea over here is that I am going to make it structured and deliver it in such a way so that you are able to consume it. And this is how your preparation will be taken to a next level. In the next lecture of it, we will start with globalization. What is globalization? And we will continue with our lecture. Thank you so much.